Hi everyone, Ryan Otto here. Welcome to Ask Ryan Otto. Now, if you're listening on the Perfect Property Deal podcast, make sure that you come across to YouTube and subscribe so you get exclusive content, bonus content that we only share with everyone who has subscribed. If you're listening on the podcast, the Perfect Property Deal podcast, of course, make sure you subscribe there as well, guys. So, this is where I answer all of your questions, where you guys get to ask me anything. So, I got some questions here right now. This is the first episode of Ask Ryan Otto, where I'll be answering all of your questions. So, the first question that I have is, how can I earn up to £42,000 without owning a single property? Okay, now that's a very, very good question. How can I earn up to £42,000 per year without owning a single property? Now, what you have to do is you'll need to find a property. Okay, guys? Now, what I mean by that is any landlord who's advertising a property to rent is what you need to look for. Any landlord who's advertising a property to rent, okay? You view the property, you enter into an agreement with the landlord who just wants to rent the property. You have to get the permission from the landlord, which enables you to re-let the property. It's not subletting, it's short letting that property. So what I mean by that is you just need to have a particular agreement which isn't subletting. It's actually just giving you the right permissions that you need. So you can change the tenants, put long-term tenants in, short-term tenants, and you can also put the property on the booking sites, okay? Airbnb, booking.com, and things like that, or any other short letting site that you want to put it on, okay? Now, once you've got the property, once you've closed the deal with the landlord, once you've signed them up on the agreement, so you've got the right permissions, and you've put the property on the booking sites, obviously you need to just prepare the property for the short letting market. Now, if you're renting on an AST to a normal high street tenant, which the returns aren't great, okay? If you're short letting, there's certain things that you obviously need to have, right? Now, they come down to creating a home from home for the guest. If you can imagine someone who stays in a hotel, okay? Whether they're staying for 1 night, 3 nights, 1 week, or 28 days, okay? They want certain things in the hotel, right? When you think about it like that, all you're doing is preparing the property for customers, not tenants. So they would need things like crockery, a microwave, a washing machine, linen on the beds, every single thing you can think of that you would normally get in a hotel. That's how you prepare the property, okay? If you want some other ideas, what you need to have and what needs to be included, all you need to do is go onto booking.com, have a look in whatever area you live in, okay, or you're thinking about doing this in, whatever city that may be, and have a look at the amenities list to see what that particular landlord has included, okay? Then you know what you need to put in the property, okay? Now, once the property is on the booking sites, the booking.com, the number one online travel agent that I prefer, okay, booking.com. Now, they would find the guests for you. So once you've created the listing, they would find the guests for you, okay? Now, these guests are staying for 1 night, 2 nights, 3 nights, 5 nights, 1 week, 1 month, okay? They would find the guests. And they spent 4.1 billion last year in 2018 alone finding travelers, finding customers, finding guests for people like you about to get into this and my agency, okay? So that is where we find the customers, okay, guys? So every time you have a booking, right, then X amount of money comes to you, okay? Or booking.com collects it for you. So let's assume, let's look at my example. One of the examples that you guys would have seen of the 4 or 5 case studies that I've shared with you, wherever you're watching this on the podcast, or if you've seen it online, or you've been on any of the online webinars or training or social media, you would have seen there's 4 or 5 key case studies which I've referenced. So looking at one of those, it's the 2-bed apartment, okay? Now, it brings in £205 a night. That's for the last 12 consecutive months. We took that data, and it's £205 a night. So what that means is, if you're getting £205 a night, at our occupancy, which is 84% on that particular deal, that generates us £63,155 a year at 84% occupancy. £205 a night, guys, okay? So what that means is, once you've paid the rent, okay, you've obviously got to pay a rent to the landlord. Anything, the uplift above the rent, you get to keep, okay? All of it, ethically, okay? So looking at that particular case study, there's 21,000 we paid to the landlord for that particular property, which is £1,750 a month. Now we're achieving 63,155 a year. This is both yearly. 21,000 a year rent, 63,155 a year revenue on booking.com. So when you deduct the rent from the revenue, okay, that's 63,155 coming in here from booking.com to my agency, okay? Then we have 21,000 going out to the landlord, which is the rent or the premium or the lease that we pay. That comes out. That leaves £42,155 for, well, my agency on that particular deal, but that would be your profit. That would be your profit, guys, okay? So when you look at what the rent is, and when you look at that return that you've just got, that is a 201% return, which is how you created that margin of £42,155 on top of the rent that you paid to the landlord. Does that make sense? Okay. So I hope that answered your question. Remember, guys, any questions that you have, all you need to do is send them to us, send them to me, ask Ryan Otto, and I will keep answering them. Okay, guys? Let's get to the next question. What's the next question that we have? Okay, the next question from you guys is, how do I find these properties? How do I find these properties? Okay, that's a very good question. Now, the easiest way for you guys to find these properties, these types of deals, these perfect property deals, really is, you just need to think about where landlords are advertising. You need to get in front of landlords, okay? Or you need to be dealing directly with the landlord. It makes it a lot harder if you've got to go through a letting agent or a managing agent or, somebody else, not the landlord. As long as you're dealing with the landlord direct, on the phone, in the same room, by email, this becomes a lot easier, okay? Now, if you can imagine, landlords advertise their property privately online, okay? Online on websites like Gumtree. Let's take Gumtree as an example, okay? If you just Google Gumtree in the UK, have a look at the website. If you click in whatever area you're looking for or whatever area you want to find your first perfect property deal in, if you scroll on the left-hand side just to private landlords, okay, so no agencies, now you've filtered out all of the agents, which there's another strategy for that, but it's harder to work with them. It's another strategy for that, but let's just focus on the private listings from the landlords on Gumtree for for answering your question. Now, when you have all of those landlords on the page in those particular areas that you're looking for, you can literally see the property, okay? Then you can click the link to contact the landlord. Then it will either say their phone number, it will say their name, it will say either their phone number, or it will give you a masked email. So you get to contact them on that site, Gumtree, and then what happens is the email that you see, which is generated by Gumtree for safety reasons and all of those things, it then links to another email, which is the personal email that landlord provided. So keep it very simple. You would send an email, and then it goes through to the landlord, okay? So that's your opportunity to then introduce yourself, let the landlord or landlady know how you can help, what you can do for them, or how much you would pay, or whether you're a company and you want to run it as a corporate let, in that sense. So yeah, Gumtree is fantastic, okay, for finding those landlords. So make them an offer. Make them an offer which, to make it as easy as possible for yourself, this is what I would suggest, okay? For your first few deals, okay, you really should just pay more or pay the full asking price. Let me explain what I mean by that. If you're just starting out and you want to close your first of many perfect property deals, and you obviously want to get ahead as quick as you can, and you want to obviously get that cash flow coming in so you can, recycle it, reinvest it into other properties, more properties, and keep that momentum going as quick as possible, you don't want to be losing deals over £50 a month in the rent, or even £100 a month in the rent, because you're offering below the market value. Now, we get deals all day long below the market value, but I've been doing this a long time, and I have an agency and everything else that comes with that. So yeah, we can be more, more aggressive on the price that we pay. However, if there's a particular deal that I really do want, and I know it's in a great area, I know it's in the city, I know how much money I'm going to make, okay? If it's going to generate me £2,000-3,000 a month, then I'm happy to pay the full amount, or even to close that deal, pay more than the asking price. So just imagine, this is a strategy for you, my best advice for you. You look on Gumtree, you find some properties. You email the landlords and tell them what you want to do, okay? And you also you're making them an offer that they can't refuse, okay? A bit like The Godfather, but without the violence, of course, okay? So you would make them an offer and say what you want to do, okay? So obviously you need a permission to short let the property, okay? Or rotate the tenants, or put your own contractors in there, okay? And then what you're prepared to pay to the landlord to get his agreement and get that permission is at least the full market rent, but I would suggest paying more than the market rent. Let's say it's on for £1,000 a month, okay? Just pull that figure out of the sky. I don't know whereabouts you are in the country, what city you're in. That could be, I think the average rent is around £940 across the country at the moment, but I think it's in the region of about £1,700 in London. So it depends on where you are. It's all relative, okay? So let's just use £1,000 a month as the benchmark, right? So it's up for £1,000 a month. You found it on Gumtree. You would say something like, this is what I want to do. I obviously need these permissions. I'm a company or corporate let, or short letting company, etc. Whatever angle you've decided to use, and there is many. Now, the rent is £1,000 a month, and you would say, I would be happy to pay, or my company would pay up to £1,250 or £1,200 for a property like this. What do you think that landlord's reaction will be when he's got that email from you, or even the phone call, or you're even in front of him at the viewing, okay, and it's up for £1,000 a month, and you come along saying or offering £1,200 a month? What do you think the landlord is going to say? Let me tell you what he's going to say. All of the If he was nervous in any way or had any objections in any way about short letting or working with a new company, let's say you're a new formed company, you're not established, you're not a known name, you're not on the high street, you haven't been doing it for 20 years, and it's been passed down from generations and family, and everybody knows the company, and you've got the biggest marketing budget. Let's say you're obviously just a startup, starting up right now. To overcome those objections and to reduce that friction, it really does come down to money, okay? So, unless obviously it doesn't come down to money, if the landlord doesn't want any more money. There's some landlords that don't need any more money. They don't want to earn the maximum amount of money. They just want a good tenant. So some of those guys it won't work with. However, many of the landlords, landladies, this will work with, okay? So if you offer them more than the market rent to close the first few deals, remember, the one example that I shared with you earlier, which you've already seen online somewhere, on the internet, or you've heard it on the podcast, we've referenced it on here, or you've seen it from one of our webinars or online training, that's generating £3,512 a month on top of what we pay the landlord. So let's assume that you pay £200 a month more, right? You pay £200 a month more and you're still earning, or for that particular deal, there's still over £3,000 left to play with. Does that make sense? Can you see where I'm going with this? So if you know your numbers from the start, before you go into the deal with your eyes wide open, okay, as long as you know the numbers and what the capabilities are and the uplift you can get and how much money you can earn and how profitable this will be, you can go in there for your first few deals to get them, to close them, right? So you can get that momentum, get going instantly, okay? And you can pay £1,200 a month. So find the deal on Gumtree or another online portal where landlords and landladies advertise privately without an agent, okay? Agent out the way. Then offer them slightly more money, 10% more, 20% more, I would say, to start. That will get their interest, reduce the friction, get them more comfortable to working with you and open to the idea of the short letting, because they've now got an extra £200 a month just by working with you. That's my best advice for you, okay? That's what you need to do. Does that make sense? Okay. So, I'd just like to thank all of you guys for watching the first episode of Ask Ryan Otto. Remember, you keep asking questions and I'll keep answering them for you guys. Make sure that you subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, there's exclusive content, there's bonus content I'll be sharing with you guys only if you subscribe. If you're listening over on the Perfect Property Deal podcast, make sure you subscribe over there as well. And obviously come across to YouTube and make sure that you subscribe. So I'm really excited about this first episode. You're going to be seeing a lot more of me answering your questions, guys. So remember, you just keep asking the questions and I'll keep answering them for you guys. And yeah, remember, you're only one perfect property deal away from everything that you want.